This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is James Arnold Taylor, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi. I have a good feeling about this.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of CWK Live every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm your host, Dan Taylor, delighted to be talking Star Wars with each and every one of you. Let's bring in our friends. Hello, Minta. This is the way. It's CWK Day. Hello, Minta. Great to see you. It's nice to have you on the show, as always. Let's also bring in Mary. Happy Tano Tuesday, Mary. It's great to have you back on the show. Minta says, I miss Tano Tuesdays. You know what? I do too. We were just talking about that at dinner earlier tonight. I completely agree with you. Adam is back. Hello, Adam. Great to have you back on the show, as is Jordan. Hello, Jordan. Good evening to you, my friend. Terry Rising Moons to you, and Josh, good evening, friend. Well, it is great to see all of you. As I said, we are all done with Ahsoka, but we're not done talking about Ahsoka. Of course, we're just scratching the surface of this terrific show. So that means tonight we're talking, of course, all about Part 8 of Ahsoka, the Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord. And you've got a chance to enter the CWK Chatterback Chopper giveaway, and I've got your comments and questions. It looks like Robert is here. Robert says, first-time viewer, but long-time listener. Robert, what a pleasure to have you on the show, my friend. Really appreciate you spending time out of your busy schedule, hanging out with us, and I appreciate all of you doing that as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at what is brewing in the world of Star Wars this week. All right, so let's do some Star Wars news. First, I want to show off, I got sent this today from some good friends of mine, courtesy of Lucasfilm. This is an Ahsoka crew sweatshirt. Let me show you. Here is the sleeve. And then the back has a picture of an image of Ahsoka drawn by Filoni. I'll show you. So, pretty awesome. Thank you so much, Lucasfilm, for sending this over. I'm going to wear it every day. I'm going to wear it every day. It's awesome. It's awesome. So, it's great to see this news. Loden Greatstorm. If you are familiar with the High Republic, then you are very familiar with Loden Greatstorm. He's a fantastic Jedi with a very rich history. I will not spoil it, of course, but he is going to be in Young Jedi Adventures. That is an image of him. It's the first time he's been on screen for anything. He's been in plenty of books and comics, but first time he's on screen for Young Jedi Adventures, which is so cool. Minta says, where can I get that shirt? Oh, Minta, this is a Lucasfilm. This is a crew shirt that the ILM people wore when they were filming Ahsoka. So if you're at Lucasfilm, they will give it to you. I feel bad. I was excited and I wore it, but no, I don't think it's out for public consumption, but hopefully something equally as cool, if not cooler, will be out for you to purchase. Hello, Liberty. Good evening to you, my friend. It's great to see you. Yes, found family indeed. How perfect for Star Wars. Speaking of found family, for many of us, the High Republic very much continues the amazingness of Star Wars in literary form. And now we get to see them projected on screen. So not only do we get to see Loden Greatstorm, but we get to see Bell Zettifar and Ember, his Charhound, and Young Jedi Adventures. Again, this is the first time they've been on screen, so that's really cool to see. Also, this is the first time we get to see Starlight Beacon projected on screen, and this is, of course, an image of Starlight Beacon. This is before the great official debut of Starlight Beacon. And then Jedi Master Maru is also in Young Jedi Adventures. So a bunch of great characters from the High Republic are going to be in Young Jedi Adventures, which is pretty fun, I think. Brian says, by Balin's beard, it's Tuesday again. Indeed it is, Brian, and great to have you. Josh says he lives close enough to visit Lucasfilm. Oh, wow. Well, that's cool. I'm posting this on here because I continue to get questions about this, and I'm very glad, because I feel like it helps people. So if you are traveling, whether it's going to be to Star Celebration Japan in a couple years, or you're going to Disney World, or wherever you're going to go, I partner with Mouse Fan Travel, the best travel partner to me in the galaxy. I love them. Becky Menken and her team are amazing. Right now, there's a deal where you can get up to 25% off your rooms at select Disney Resort hotels. To find out more, go to coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefantravel. You support me, but more importantly, you get an amazing vacation that is stress-free. And plus, they do it where you can sign up, and it's a no-cost, no-obligation quote. So you really can't get too much better than that. Liberty says, I am loving Young Jedi Adventures. They are so adorable. Andrew is here currently reading the Bell short story and Tales of Light and Life. It's fantastic. Yes, it is. That is a great book. Terry says, I included Balin's beard in my top 5 tonight. Well, that's awesome. That's pretty great. That's pretty great. Let's go ahead and look at some new merchandise. So this is brand new. This is the Holocom collection. There are 5. Let's see. Yeah, there are 5 figures that are going to be released. I only have a couple of them right here. But they come on this puck, and it actually lights up. I think it takes AAA batteries. I can't remember. It's either AAA or AA. And the puck lights up. When you turn on it, lights up for 30 minutes straight, and you display it. It's got the names of the characters in Orabesh in the front, and you can pose them. This is Ahsoka Tano. It goes on sale, I believe, on the 14th, so pretty soon. So be on the lookout for that. But this is Ahsoka. And then here's Mando. They also have, let me think about this. They've got Bo-Katan. They've got Han Solo. And they also have Axe Wolves. I did not include Axe, Han, or Bo-Katan here. But this gives you a really good idea of them. Kind of a fun way to do these Black Series figures. Daniel is back. He says, sorry I've been such a slacker. This grad school class is tough. Daniel, no need to apologize. I am also taking a grad school class, and I empathize. So do not apologize. It's great to see you. For sure. All right, what else do we have? So this is from Logitech. This is a Millennium Falcon gaming mouse. You can see from the image here that it lights up. I think that's incredibly cool. I'm not a gamer per se as far as using a computer, but I've been told by my students and by Logitech themselves that this thing is fast. Plus it's got that sleek Millennium Falcon design, which is fantastic. Brian says, no worries, Daniel. I think Dan only takes off 10% for late work. That's actually true. I do only take 10% off for late work. But Daniel automatically gets a lifetime pass. How funny that you knew that. All right. Also from Logitech, these are mouse pads, but they're elongated mouse pads. They're pretty big. They will fit on your computer desk or your office desk, and you can put your keyboard on top of it, plus your mouse on the right. These are both, and as is the Falcon, they are modeled after Return of the Jedi. So really wonderful stuff that I wanted to showcase here. Heroes and Villains is a website I'm partnering with. We just kind of work together on some stuff. But they have given me the code of coffee. So if you put in the code coffee, you get 20% off your order, no matter what you order. I think that's a really good deal. In fact, when you go to their website, it says 10% off if you sign up, which is good. But 20%, I'm no math major, but 20% is better. So use the code 20 for 20% off your order. I just found a couple of random things that I thought were really cool. This is an Empire Strikes Back Stein and coaster set. It's got that classic, I think that's the B image of the Empire Strikes Back poster, and a couple of great looking Macquarie coasters. I think that's a fabulous thing. Andrew says, of course the mouse is fast. It's a Falcon. Exactly. Another fun one from Heroes and Villains is this is a Planet Hoth. It's the Wildlife Tauntaun. This is the baseball cut, so the sleeves are kind of 3/4 inch sleeves. But this is the Planet Hoth Expeditions Raglan shirt. So pretty cool. Yeah, and I like the retro look of that as well. Minta just ordered from Heroes and Villains just the other day, thanks to my husband, as a second wedding anniversary. Well, congratulations, Minta. And by the way, happy anniversary. I saw your post. I think that's wonderful. Hopefully you use the code coffee to get 20% off. But even if you didn't, it's still going to wait there for you. And more importantly, much more importantly, it's your second anniversary, which is great. I actually remember, this is how long we've been doing CWK Live. I remember when you got married and you had said, hey, I can't be here next week because I'm getting married. So do you remember that? That was so fun. So a lot of you are longtime listeners to CWK Live. So cheers to Minta and her husband on their second anniversary. Fantastic. All right. Two other quick things that I wanted to show you that I have here. One, I just got this in the mail today. This is coming out on November 7th. This is Jeffrey Brown's brand new book. It's The Mandalorian and Child. If you are familiar with Vader and Son and Vader's Little Princess by Jeffrey Brown, they're some of the most delightful books you could ever read as a Star Wars fan and as a parent, or even if you just like joy and happiness. The first book I ever read, my son Mason, is Vader and Son. Now he's got a new one. The Mandalorian Child. Here is the back. He says, the lighting's kind of tricky. He says, why are these controls all sticky? And there's Grogu in the back, being Grogu. But it's so delightful. Much more to come on this. I won't give a bunch of stuff away, but it's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. I know a lot of you are big fans of Jeffrey Brown, as you should be. So there you go. Let's transition a little bit. Let's talk about the contest. I promised a contest 2 weeks ago, and then I lost track of time, but we're back. We're back in business. This baby right here, Chatterback Chopper, has over 40 sounds. This is something that Hasbro debuted at Star Wars Celebration in London in, was it March or April? In the spring. So I've got one here. It's delightful, and it's yours if you win the contest. So I've got it in hand. How do you win the contest? You go to coffeewithkenobi.com. There's a widget on the right-hand side. You can click. There'll also be a web post with the same thing encased inside it. And the way it works is you go to either Coffee with Kenobi's YouTube page and just check things out there. You get a certain amount of entries. And if you go to Coffee with Kenobi's website daily, and I think you've got 2 weeks to do this, you get like 10 entries to join and to sign up. So absolutely cool. This is a really great value. I think it's like a $75 value, but you're going to get it because you're awesome and you're a Coffee with Kenobi member. Of course, the entries, the winner will be chosen at random online, but so you got 2 weeks for that. So be sure to go to Coffee with Kenobi daily and sign up so you can win Chatterback Chopper. Daniel remembers Minta's wedding. It's just so fun. I can't believe what a family we've got. Brian says, the Force told me that you'd take off 10% for late work. Well, the Force is right. The Force is right. All right, let's do this. Let's go in and jump into our top 5. Tonight we are talking all about the finale of Ahsoka, the Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord. An episode that, with a lot of Star Wars, has more questions sometimes than answers. And I talked a lot about that this week on Coffee with Kenobi and got a lot to say. I mean, of course, it does help on a podcast to have a lot to say, I suppose. But I do want to say quickly before I jump into that, I want to thank, again, Ross Holliman and Jen Subchakchai for joining me every week for the last 2 months as we went over Ahsoka. They were a great team. It was really fun to have kind of a coordinated effort as we went through the series together. And it sounds like, based on all the feedback I got from all of you, that you enjoyed it too. So thank you for joining us every week. We've got a lot more coverage, a lot more Coffee with Kenobi naturally is showing up or coming out every week, plus the live show. We're going to talk a lot about Ahsoka plus other Star Wars things, but I want to thank Ross and Jen for being so gracious with their time and insights. Adam's got his number 5 thrown at Ezra, made it back, so that's great. I appreciate that. So I better throw mine up there too, Adam. You led the way. The Thrawn taunt. At the end of the episode, close to the end of the episode, Thrawn says, he hypothesizes, he wonders how alike Ahsoka is with her master Anakin. Ahsoka gives this reflective, temperamental look, I guess you could say, throwing these carrots out there. Thrawn knows there's zero chance, less than zero chances he could do anything against Ahsoka in a fight. Ahsoka has a force. She's an experienced combatant, and she's awesome. And Thrawn is cerebrally quite a formidable foe. But in a regular fight, no chance, zero chance. But he does know how to push those buttons and manipulate and play chess. And he's able to get under Ahsoka's skin there. So I have a feeling that's the first of many verbal things between the two of them. So we'll see what happens, won't we? Again, I'm throwing Adam's back here. Throwing Ezra made it back, which was exciting. I'll talk about that later for sure. Terry's number 5. Kanan took the one I held on to in case you ever need it. It is proper. You should have it. That is Hugh Yang to Ezra as Ezra recreates Kanan's lightsaber. Terry, he stole mine, but mine's going to come later. But thank you for putting the exact line because it's fabulous. Meantime, number 5 is Zombie Troopers. I love the novel. I've never read that, Meantime. I'm going to have to do that. I love the novel, and I'm glad we have a small preview of the Zombie Troopers thanks to the Night Sisters. Yes, those Night Sisters are just givers, aren't they? Not so much. Not so much, but yes, that is a great one, Minta. Robert's 5, the appearance of Morai. Morai was awesome to see in live action. Jen, hey, thanks, Jen. Good to see you. Says, thank you for having us. It was an honor and a joy. It was an honor and a joy for me as well, my friend. Let's see, I missed somebody. Mary says mine are all tied for first. That's great. So I'm just going to list them as I wrote them down. 5, Ezra making his lightsaber into this discussion with Hugh Yang. I kind of end up doing that too, Mary, now that I think about it. Liberty's 5. Thrawn admitting that Ahsoka is a formidable enemy. There will be no negotiating with the apprentice of Anakin Skywalker, which is exactly what he says. Jen's 5. Ahsoka defeats Morgan with the Sword of Talzin. I feel like not enough people are talking about this epic lightsaber fight. I agree. I think it's exceptional, and I have a feeling it might come up later in my list. Jordan's number 5, echoing Jen's, the Blade of Talzin. Very cool. Brian says, Jen, you and Ross did a wonderful job. I could not agree more. Kato is here. Hello, my friend. Kato says, for me, it was a change up in the music score and the end credits, and I'm glad you weighed in on that because you are an expert at all things theatrical and musical and literary, so I appreciate your insights there, Kato. 5 for Daniel, they finally mentioned Kanan. Yes, it was great. It was great to hear him. He was actually mentioned again in the episode with Anakin. What was that, the 5th episode? 4th, 5th episode? But yeah, it was great to see him talked about by Hugh Yang. Again, Brian's number 5, Chopper realizing it was Ezra in the armor and just rolling out in front of everyone else. Chopper. Love me some Chopper. Chopper Coffee with Kenobi contest. Very good. Thank you, Brian. Let's go to number 4. If you have a number 5 and I didn't get to you yet, feel free to post again. I'd be sure to do so. And before I put blue an exclamation point, when Ezra builds a lightsaber, and I said to Mason, I cannot wait to see this blade color, and it was blue. I was so happy. Blue is my favorite color, obviously, by the lighting here. And it was just great, great, great to see. So that's it. It's cool that he built the blue lightsaber. It's nothing very cerebral about that per se, at least as far as how I'm explaining it. But I was happy to see the blue. All right, number 4 for Adam is the Mortis statues. Yes, Adam, that I'm sure will come up a lot from our friends here, but the Mortis statues certainly had a lot of people talking. Terry's number 4. I feel like, ellipsis, Ahsoka looking towards Anakin's Force Ghost. That was pretty great. Mintus 4. Ezra making his lightsaber in honor of his late master and just talking with Hugh Yang during the process was a nice touch. It was pretty delightful. 4 for Liberty, Ezra and Hugh Yang while Ezra is building his lightsaber. It took my breath away when he pulled out the same part that Kanan/Caleb used. Heartwarming. Heartwarming is exactly right. Number 4 for Roberts, it means nonchalantly saying, get him, after destroying 2 TIE fighters at once. Oh, good. I like how you described that, too. Mary's 4. Sabine successfully tapping into the Force. I'm mixed on that, but I thought it was well done in that scene, for sure. Kato's 4. The look on the Night Sister's face is when Thrawn targets their temple fortress when he leaves the planet. Yeah, Thrawn is, he doesn't really have everyone's best interests in mind. I think that's fair to say. Jordan's 4, Ezra constructing a new lightsaber. That has been a popular one so far this evening. Gender 4, Sabine uses the Force. Definitely an exciting moment. No doubt about that. Number 4 for Daniel. Many great fight scenes, but nothing tops seeing the team back together with sabers blazing. Yeah, there's a sequence. Disney shared a lot of images this week, but there's a picture of the three of them together with their lightsabers. It was awesome. It was so cool. All right, let's go to number 3. Number 3, Ezra is home. So I wanted to put this higher, but it bugged me that they didn't hug. And that's just, maybe I'm just a hugger person, I guess. But I wanted to see them embrace because Hera and Ezra have such a wonderful connection, this bond. So, but even if they didn't hug, I mean, that's just me. It was still beautiful to see. And to get to see these reunions is priceless. It's priceless. So again, that's why it wasn't number 1 for me, but I still loved it. All right, let's see what other people have. Brian's for with Sabine coming back to help her master as I was hoping she would. That was a great sequence. Darren is here. Hello, Darren. He says, I agree the time Sabine used the Force was quite a surprise to me to use it at that level. I talked about it on the show, Darren, is I think of the second Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire. And for a while, he doesn't have his spider powers because there's like a mental block psychologically on him for a lot of reasons. So from that perspective, I think that works. I could see Sabine having a block because of rejection and the pain and loss of her family from the what happened on Mandalore, the Purge. So, and that's not ever been stated officially. I mean, it's only been out a week. But so that's kind of how I took it, and that made more sense to me. She's holding him back for a long time. Minta's 3, the final duel between Morgan and Ahsoka was amazing. Even more so was the Sword of the Late Mother Talzin. This episode was full of Easter eggs. A lot of Easter eggs. So many good ones. Adam's 3 is Kamikaze Sabine. Well said. Interesting. Robert's 3, the appearance of Anakin. Always cool to see Hayden Christensen as Anakin. I will never complain about that. Mary's number 3, she simply says, Morai, which was great to see. Liberty's 3, the villain's monologue from Thrawn. Well done, Thrawn. He is a talker, isn't he? He'd be a good podcaster, wouldn't he? Terry 3, number 3, not alone. Sabine as she returns to fight alongside Ahsoka, an epic hero moment. And in the hero's journey, that's a big step in the hero's journey. Jordan's 3 is Sabine's fighting style with the lightsaber and blaster. Yes, that was awesome, and especially how she would use the lightsaber or the blaster to block sometimes. 3 for Jen, Ezra building a new lightsaber with Kanan's spare part, Yu Yang. The relationship between a master and an apprentice is as challenging as it is meaningful. That is a great quote. I love that. Kato's 3, Sabine realizes Ahsoka isn't angry with her choosing to go with the villain team. Ahsoka is treating Sabine like a colleague, not a Padawan. Yes, that's very succinctly put. I love that. 3 for Daniel, Sabine using the Force and taking out that Death Trooper. Yeah, that was brought up earlier. Let's see, who brought that up? Oh, Minta. Minta brought up the Death Trooper in that novel. I feel like it keeps coming up, and I didn't think about the novel originally. I do like that author, though. Joe Schreiber. He also wrote Maul Lockdown. I had to check my library back here. But that's good. A good Legends book, I've been told. Okay, where am I at here? 3 for Brian, seeing the 3 lightsabers, white, green, and blue, blades igniting and fighting the zombie troopers. Lori says, isn't Sabine a descendant of Tar Vizsla? Is she? Is Sabine Wren from the House of Vizsla? I don't know. I mean, they're both Mandalorians, but that's a good question. And welcome, Lori. Great to see you. Lori says yes. So if Mary says it, it's got to be accurate. So I don't have anything resource-wise in front of me, so I don't remember. But that could very well be. I haven't seen seasons 3 and 4 of Rebels in a while. Josh is 3, storming the castle, which is a classic trope in adventure. Darren says, I agree with what you were saying. It's like Sabine was able to just do it, not thinking about it, not having to think about it. Like you said, overcoming a mental block. Totally agree. Yeah, I think that's cool. I think that makes sense. Let's go to number 2. boy, it's good to see all of you here. Number 2 for me is the Canon Memento. This was mentioned earlier, but there's a top. Ezra's looking all over Huyang's collection. He's looking for a certain piece to put the top of his lightsaber. He's looking for one similar to Kanan's, and it turns out there's an identical one that Huyang happened to be holding on to in case Kanan needed it. Ezra's so happy to see it. And as many of you know, Kanan's one of my favorite in the history of ever. So seeing that and having Ezra have that lightsaber is like great. But there was a part of me that thought, oh no, now I'm going to have to buy another legacy lightsaber. Where am I going to put it? But this is a good problem to have. And there hasn't been anything mentioned about one of those. But if it ever happens, the fact that it's going to match Kanan's is going to be hard for me to resist. Just saying, Disney. Just saying. All right, let's see. Mintas 2, the father statue was a welcome surprise. It does beg the question, though. Ahsoka was saved by the daughter. Balin was perched on the father. Who represents the son? Maybe Shin. That's a great question. Terry's number 2, Gods of Mortis mountain carvings with Balin and his majestic beard taking in its surroundings. That makes me happy, all this beard stuff. Kato's 2, anytime ancient giant figures are carved into a cliff, I'm agog. A character standing on them looking at a sunset, that's a sweet spot. It was a beautiful image, for sure. Story-wise, well, I talked about that a lot on CWK, but it was a beautiful image for sure. Liberties 2 is Jabba's return home. I mean, Ezra, does anyone else think Chopper said, is that you? Ezra Bridger, is that you? I kept re-listening to that to see if I could figure out what Dave was saying as Chopper, but it wouldn't surprise me if that's what he said. 2 for Robert, Sabine's deflecting the blaster fire of the troopers behind her back without looking was so cool. So cool to see. And we do know that Sabine's been practicing a lot. Ahsoka's told us this. Mary's 2 is the Mortis gods. Balin standing on the father's outstretched arm, pointing to the orangish light on the horizon. That's cool. Number 2 for Adam is the Thrawn monologuing, which he's great at. He's like a Shakespearean character. 2 for Jen. Morai visits Ahsoka and Mortis god statues behind Balin. I couldn't believe what I was seeing and can't wait to see what comes next. I can't either. Jordan's 2 is Balin and the Mortis statues. Excellent. That's definitely a crowd pleaser. Brian's 2, Ezra picking up the Stormtroopers' comm to get intel. Nice nod back to the first episodes of Rebels. Oh, good call on that, Brian. 2 for Josh. Sabine using the Force to pull a lightsaber to her and impale the Death Trooper zombie. Well said. Daniel's 2 is zombie stormtroopers. Folks are already starting to build these and working on making them 501st approvable. Daniel, I'm glad to hear that, especially since it's a Halloween season. Probably too soon for that. Oh, well, maybe not. I mean, 501st are pretty amazing. You know, I have had, this is so random, I have had the Anovos Stormtrooper, original trilogy Stormtrooper armor for like 4 or 5 years, and it's still not put together. I can't make sense of it. But Daniel, if you're busy, not too busy, and you want to fly to Central Illinois, I would love your help. Just kidding. I'm sure I'll figure it out at some point, or bug somebody to do it. Who knows? Let's talk number 1, the final duel. Yes, as Jen said earlier, not enough people are talking about this. Final duel was one of the best Star Wars duels you will see. Diana Insomato, I apologize for not saying your name correctly, my friend. I'm so sorry. She is an actual martial arts expert, and it shows in this. And it shows Rosario Dawson's training was through the roof. It's just gorgeous choreography. It's graceful, but it's ferocious. It's antagonistic. It's violent. But it's just great. It's just beautifully done. And as she said in the interview on StarWars.com, this was on social media, done before the strike, of course, she says that a really good lightsaber duel is like dialogue. And I agree, especially the way the two express themselves through the poetry of their lightsabers. Fantastic stuff. Absolutely fantastic. Number 1 for Mary, Ezra's return with Chop coming over to him, then Ezra tapping Chopper's head like he did in Rebels. Yes, good call, Mary. What a great callback. Adam, this week on how to build a lightsaber. Well done. Daniel, you need to build that TK someday. I know I do. It's boy, is it tricky. Robert's number one, Sabine's quick eyebrow raise and smile at Ahsoka when she returns to help her battle the Death Troopers. Yeah, that was pretty cool stuff. Terry's number one, hi Hera, I'm home. Ezra's return to Hera in a Death Trooper disguise. Pretty cool. Brian's one, Ezra building Kanan's lightsaber and Hu Yang realizing how to help Ezra completely. Hu Yang realizing how to help Ezra complete it. I got misty-eyed, one of my favorite Star Wars moments of all time. Wow, that's so cool, Brian. I'm glad it brought you that joy. Number one for Liberty, the appearance of Morai and the Mortis Gods in the Mountain. Love the tie into the Clone Wars series. I did too. Meantime, this is quadruple for me. Ooh, first, Sabine finally uses the Force. 2, Thrawn and the Night Sisters laying on Dathomir with the countless coffins in tow, possibly former Night Sisters. Oh, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that, Minta. 3 is Ezra finally reuniting with Hera. And finally, Ahsoka, Anakin watching over Ahsoka as her and Sabine find a way out of their current situation. That is fantastic, Minta. Number one for Jen, Ahsoka senses Force goes to Anakin, similar to what Mina's last point, and feels at peace. What a journey as she has been on in this series. A beautiful way to end the season. A great, great season. Josh is number one, the duel, similar to mine. Daniel's number one, Anakin Skywalker Force Ghost. Yes. Jordan 1, Anakin Skywalker Force Ghost. I teared up. Perfect. Just like Daniel's, and based on your YouTube profile picture, Jordan, that tracks. Number one for Kato, I was getting a bit of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon vibe on the final showdown fight. That's a good call. Minta's honorable mention is Morai's second live debut since the second season of Mando. Yes, but this one was a little bit easier to see, albeit from farther away. But you're right, that is the second official appearance, so thank you for pointing that out. Mary's honorable mention is Anakin's Force Ghost. I don't have an honorable mention tonight for some reason, but this is great. I knew people would be so excited to talk about this, and I'm glad, so grateful that you did. Next week, it was like, gosh, what are we going to talk about next week? Because the show's over. But we always do this, and I think this season deserves it. This series deserves it. Let's give your top 5 moments from the entire season of Ahsoka. That is going to be difficult. So it sounds like you may have to rewatch it. How about that? I'm sure that's not going to make too many of you sad. So next week, your top 5 moments from the entire season of Ahsoka. What do you think? Think you can do that? I think you can do that. Terry's honorable mention, the entire series was amazing. I agree. Mintus is top 10 easy. It is. That would be easy, but I'm going to challenge you to do it as top 5. Josh, 0, the entire denouement. The entire denouement, which is a French term for resolution of the plot. Although I would argue there isn't much of a denouement, but that's English teacher guy talking. Jordan's says, as a huge C.S. Lewis fan, I love the title of the episode. Yes, I agree with that. Liberty's honorable mention is the feel of Rebels in the dialogue between Sabine and Ezra. Careful, love those two together. And what a bummer, by the way, not related to what Liberty just said, but what a bummer that Ahsoka's only got one lightsaber now. Mary says, I knew I should have kept all my lists from the season. Well, just you have to go back and watch them, Mary. Well, got it for you. Let's just hope season 2 gets greenlit. I hope so, too. Brian says, I got the same Stormtrooper kit. We can just play in an armor building guys weekend. Now, that would be fun. That would be fun, Brian. Into that cliffhanger at the end, do you feel like there might be a second season, or could this be transformed into a Thrawn film? I don't know, and of course, I'm not a big speculator. I know that with the actor strike going on, nothing is going to be said, so who knows? But this seems like a really good time to jump into Ask Dan Z. All right, so if you want to ask me specific questions about this episode or the series, I will certainly weigh in on what I think about stuff that, and some of it I may have said on Coffee with Kenobi, hard to say, but I'm happy to revisit anything. Terry says, this week's homework is to rewatch the entire series. Oh, well, somebody's got to do it. That's right. Just tell your family. You know what? I would love to take out the trash, but I've got to watch Ahsoka. Dan gave me homework. No, don't actually say that. Take care of your family first. Family is always first, but still. Do I have a fan cast to take over for Ray as Balin? Oh, gosh. Again, that's something I don't really like to dabble in because for me, as I've said many times, expectation without regulation equals constipation, and I'm not good at regulating my excitement. So but I don't know. It would have to be somebody with a lot of clout and gravitas who can grow an excellent beard. So I don't know, Adam, what do you think? Liberty says some people take issue with Sabine being able to force pull the lightsaber, but Luke pulled the lightsaber from the Snow and Empire, and we hadn't seen that power from him before, so I'm okay with it. What say you, Dan? Well, Liberty, I'm glad you asked. I did mention this on Coffee with Kenobi this week, but I still think it's similar to the second Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, where it was an emotional or a mental block preventing Sabine from fully getting in touch with the Force, because the Force is spiritual, but it's also a biological too. And, internally, even our best talents can be blocked. I mean, look at somebody who gets the yips and suddenly can't play pro sports anymore, or has a hard time making free throws because they're psychologically worried about missing, or there's all kinds of reasons. So from that perspective, I get it. From a story perspective, I would like to have seen a little bit of evidence of her being able to use the Force, and I still think Sabine doesn't need the Force because she's an amazingly powerful Mandalorian. I'm looking over at a figure of her right now. But Dave created her. If he says she's got the Force, she's got the Force. And I thought the way that they did it was cool, and I'm sure we'll get more backstory on that as well. So hopefully that answers your question. Brian says, are you rooting for anyone in the baseball playoffs? Yes, I'm rooting for the Orioles, even though I'm a massive Cubs fan, but they're not in it. But I don't know. It's tough. And I don't know. I'm glad Milwaukee's out. No offense, because I'm a Cubs fan. But it's been fun to watch. I like to see good series. A little bird told me they're talking about season 2. Well, undoubtedly. I would hope so. I don't have any insights on it myself, but I hope they do. But as I said a little bit ago, I don't think, and this is just me talking, I can't imagine that anything will be mentioned or said until this actor strike is over. And let's hope that we can resolve it like that is the writer's strike, and everybody can get paid what they're worth, and that we can move on and create some art. Mina says, well, I do have the week off. I could be able to watch the series again. Yes, there you go. It's perfect. What are my thoughts on Stormtroopers being zombies? At least that's what it looked like. So I think that was fun. I mean, it was, something we haven't seen before, and Dave is really great at pulling in stuff from the Legends line and incorporating them, plus the fact that the Night Sisters are a part of this. It just makes sense to me. So that worked. Terry says, I really hope there's a season 2 of Ahsoka so Dave's movie isn't so rushed. I do too. Matthew says, you know him as Milk. I am worried about Thrawn missing his motivation. He is protecting the Chiss, and that is really missing. So yeah, they do talk about that a lot in the novels, but it's never really come up in the animated stuff or here. So all we know about now is that he's all about the Empire. So we'll see. I'm sure we'll show up. Liberty's a big Orioles fan too. Darren says it's cool to rewatch back-to-back episodes once they're out. Any other time I did that with Andor. It was interesting to see it all at once. Yeah, and you've got the whole picture. It's pretty cool. Daniel says, I think Dave has some scripts already for season 2. I hope so. He's certainly got some ideas. I mean, these things are planned out years and years in advance. Like, years in advance. This season 1 was shot years ago. So, great. That'd be great. Season 2 definitely hasn't been shot, or they haven't even talked about it. The closest we saw was at Celebration Europe this year. Rosario Dawson looked at Dave and said, I would sure like to do a season 2. And that was what she said on stage. I'm not talking out turn. That's what she said in front of everybody. We'll see. I hope it happens. I hope that it happens, and I hope that you will join me, not only for that if it happens, but next week as we talk about our top 5 moments from the entire Ahsoka series. I also hope that you will join me and our friends at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel on the Disney Wish in the summer of 2025. Once we have more information, we will share that with you. And as we're wrapping up, I am going to close out the show with a trailer of the latest CWK Pour-Over, where we've been going through our comic books and talking about what are some books that we would like to preserve through the CGC where they are shielded and protected. We had a lot of fun with that. And this is just an intro. Thank you, everybody. Brian, Minta, Cato, Mary, Daniel, Darren, Liberty, Milk, Minta, Terry, Brian, Jordan, who else? I don't want to miss anybody. Looking through, Adam, Robert. It's great to see all of you. Absolutely great to see all of you. I know we're going to wrap it up with CWK Pour Over a Trailer. This is the exclusive podcast for members of the CWK Alliance. You can support me. 10% of your contributions go to the St. Jude Children's Hospital, and you get some bonus content. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm going to cue this trailer, and I will see you next week. Be on the lookout for an amazing Coffee with Kenobi tomorrow. We've got a brand new guest, and it's going to be a really full of some insights you're not going to want to miss. Thank you again so much, everybody. And remember, this is the podcast you're looking for. Here is the trailer of Pour Over. Maybe? Here's a trailer of Pour Over? Yes, as far as you know. All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of CWK Pour Over. I am one of your hosts, Dan Zare, and I am joined, as always, by the two best co-hosts in the galaxy. First, the talented artist, beard grower, Corey Clubb.
Hey, I do what I can. In that order, yes. Beard grower and then artist. Sure. Thank you.
Does beard growing come naturally?
It does. It does come naturally.
He doesn't have to do anything. He did not plant seeds. That's just God. What God did.
That's right.
Do you shave that and then next morning it's back?
No, that would be me.
No, that'd be Dan. Yeah.
Also,
beard season's coming though, right?
It is. I was gonna have it start, but then we did the twin Barbie thing, and Ken doesn't have a beard, so that's why I shaved again. Also joining us, he's also amazing. He is the #1 Spider-Man fan, host with the most, the giggler with the pickler, Tom Gross.
Yes. Pardon me
means.
while I set the piggler aside.
Yes, thank you.
Giggler.
It just rhymed.
We don't want to have that around.
No.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.